All right, all right. Oh my gosh, what a time to have another incredible episode of the Journey to Freedom podcast. And I am Dr. Beyond, your host. My voice is a little bit raspy today. I don't know why. It just woke up that way. I got plenty of water and some cough drops and all that kind of stuff. And so we will get through the show. I will mute most of the time that I'm coughing, at least the best that I possibly can. But the show must go on. And I'm so excited tonight. I get to talk to Michael online and Mike Stephenson online, and him and I have just been able over the last month or so to be able just to become really good friends. And I got a chance to just get to know him and meet him in New York, and then see his character, and say, "You got to be on my show." And right now we are in December of 2025, and as a result of 2025, we got kids, we got grandkids, we have Christmas coming up, we have holidays coming up, we have goals and dreams and things we want to do in 2026. So it seems like it's such a busy time of year, but in reality is it's our time to spend creating relationships and learning about other folks, and being able to serve and help in ways that we may not have been able to do that in the past. And so as you're going to hear from Michael, he's got the servant's heart. He is a person that I know I can trust. I would trust him with my family. I would trust him in almost every area of my life. As I think through all the things that could possibly happen, he would be one of those guys that I know. We spent some time late at night just talking about, you know, uh, just our lives and our families and what we want out of life. And he is, I can promise you, a person. I just turned 60, and if I live to be 120, which I plan on doing, he's going to be right here with me. So he's a little bit younger than me. So he just got to keep living. So if he's at 110 and I'm at 120, we still going to be rocking together and making things happen. And when we think about faith and our trust and our identity and health and finance, he's got all these things. I mean, none of us are perfect, and I'm not going to pretend that we are. But those of us who strive for being better every single day are the people who make an impact in people's lives. And Michael's one of those guys who's going to be able to do it. And so, he's from New York, I believe. I think they call them boroughs or something. They're the Bronx. Now, I was listening to him do a really incredible talk this weekend at a virtual event, and he was talking about some kind of like barbecue joint, Chaz, or I don't know if it's hot dogs or something that they make this really good food. And he said, Chaz's, I think it was, and he says if you come to New York, you can't not go to New York, and you got to make sure whoever brings you to New York takes you there. And so we were on the streets of New York with another group. So I think I understand a little bit, but he didn't even mention it while I was there. And I hadn't been in New York in like 30 years. So I'm going to come back to New York for the sole purpose, again with Mike, and we're going to go to this place. And it's some of the best food on the planet. Where if he comes to Denver, which I hope he will, I'm doing a speaker school in March. I'm trying to get some like authentic Denver stuff. When people think of Denver and food, or just Denver in a restaurant, they all tend to think of like Casa Bonita, which is from South Park, and they're not we're not going to Casa Bonita. Oh my God, they've refurbished it, but man, I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a show, but we're gonna find some places, and there's some really cool places here as well. So, Michael, I've asked him to tell a story, to share. Here's what it's so funny is sometimes I tell guests, I say, "Hey, tell your story. You can't get it wrong." They're like, "But I'm kind of nervous about my story." I'm like, "Well, you can make it up if you want. I wouldn't know." Now, if your mama watches it and you made it up, you in trouble. Yeah, that's something you're gonna have to do. But
That's why I'm careful. I'm careful. That's why I asked you, like, how far deep you want to go. My mom watches this. I might be in a little bit of trouble. I don't need to
Mhm.
get any spankings
Yeah,
or
so
whoopings.
for whoever you think your audience is going to be, in whatever part of your story that they probably already know, maybe a little couple gems that they may not have known about. please go ahead and share with it because I can't wait for people to get to know you, Mike. And so thanks for being on the show today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time. He was even flexible. I ended up having to do some talking this morning to a school. Maybe that's why my voice is like it is. And he was able to move our time together. So, hey, the floor is yours. Go ahead and tell your story. I can't wait to chop it up after.
I just appreciate the opportunity. And Dr. B, like you need to get some like big hauls, like like the halls tablets or whatever to help you out.
Mhm.
But I completely get it. So, I telling my story. So like my story, I grew up in the Bronx, and the restaurant that he was trying to say is Katz's Deli. So if you're ever in Manhattan, you definitely got to stop by Katz's Deli. And the only reason we ain't go is because Katz's Deli was not on 40 Deuce, which is 42nd Street. It is like up closer to like 80 something street or whatever, but you got to look it up. Katz's Deli. It's amazing and it's a staple. But beyond that, so I grew up in the Bronx in the 80s. Just to give you a little tidbit for how old I am. I know I don't look it except for the little gray on my beard. But yeah, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up with a mom and a dad, and uh, long story short, for the very beginning, because I don't really want to go into all that. But fortunately, I lost my dad when I was 13, and it didn't sit well with me, and it didn't sit well with my mom either. Like there was family friction, so unfortunately, I didn't get to go to my dad's funeral. Right, so that was probably the biggest hit or the biggest transition in my family, because back in the day before that, I was a spoiled little brat. I had only child syndrome because my older brother was in the military, so he wasn't ever around, right? And I grew up with cousins or whatever, but I had mom and dad, so I went to Catholic school or private school, whatever. So I didn't really have it bad at all up until I was 13, and then life lifed, right? And my mom couldn't take it, and from that point I was actually working, because the only way that I could stay in school uh, was to work for the school. Like I had to figure something out so that I could eat. I didn't even have a coat. Like my coat, kids would make fun of me because when I would play in the street, like recess or whatever, somebody would hit the coat and then the feathers would fly out the coat. Uh, so it went from like you have a good life to there's some challenges, there's some struggles, and it took the teachers. Some of my teachers were like real jerks. Um, and then others were like invisible angels, right? Where somehow or another, if you could imagine a kid working like a front desk or, sweeping crumbs, or, I also worked at an electrical store just stomping the garbage so that they could put more garbage in the thing. I would do anything so that I could eat, so I could, have a coat that didn't have holes in it. Um, but when you think about like how much things cost, somebody else was there. Like somebody else was doing something somewhere. And, I know as an adult it's different, right? Like as an adult, as a parent, I look at it now and I say, all right, my mom did what she could, right? But as a kid, I definitely didn't see it that way. Like I blamed her for everything. But again, it was the people in my life, whether they were visible or invisible, the angels, God, the community. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And in my life now, I strive to pay it forward, right? Because I could have been a statistic. I did martial arts, I did um, church groups, all that stuff, and like my community took care of me. Like the pizza shop would write IOUs for me, and so did the Chinese food store, just to make sure that I have food in my belly. And when my mom did whatever she was doing, a lot of the times I was locked out the house, so I would have to go to a neighbor's house. I couldn't even get it home, and that wasn't the ideal childhood, by any way, shape, or form. But I made it through, and I made it a point that every time that I went to go do something, I would smile and I would do it to the best of my ability because I knew that the odds were stacked against me. You know, I wasn't dressed like everybody else. I still to this day, like if I'm not wearing a suit and a shirt or like some dress pants, I don't know what to do because I never had to wear it, right? So let's fast forward. So I go to high school and I lost a lot of friends in high school, unfortunately. I went to St. Ray's, big up to St. Ray's, and I had a lot of good people there too. I gotta admit, like my math teacher, Mr. Wachansky, Mr. Corvey, Janine Lopez, which is now Miss Valentina. I could name all day. And some of these people are still in my life to this day. And this is what I mean by invisible angels. Again, I worked through high school, but somehow everything was paid. Again, God bless my mom because somehow or another she did something right. I paid a lot. And then, these invisible angels also did it. So just to put things into perspective, the year that we went, there was 300 and something odd freshmen. Then from 300 and something odd freshmen, by the time we graduated, there was like 127 seniors. Out of the 127 seniors, probably about 20 or 30 went to college. Out of 20 to 30 that went to college, I would say a handful actually graduated. So again, odds stacked against me. Went to SUNY Albany, big up to SUNY Albany. Acted a fool like any other freshman, but eventually found my way. And I realized that, I was good at doing, events and promotions and all the rest of this stuff. And I did it. I did good, made a name for myself, started working, worked my way up a couple of different ladders, lifed. But I chose corporate for stability, right? Like everybody tells you, like, oh, go to corporate for stability. So fast forward again. Now I'm married, just bought my own house, working for corporate, expecting another kid on the way. Life is good. I had a 30-year person work for me, and his son was graduating from the military. He graduates, he needs a place to work. The guy asked, can he work for me? I said, absolutely. So he joins our crew. The guy that's been with this corporation for 30 years winds up getting terminal cancer, dying. So he was out on short-term disability for as long as he could. And eventually his STD ran out and LTD was going to kick in. Corporate called him and said, listen, if you don't come back to work, you're going to lose everything. Well, I tried my best I was ready to give up my vacation time. A lot of my employees were ready to give up their vacation time so the man could die at home in peace. Corporate denied it.
No.
Denied it. Made him come back to work. He lasted a week and died. A week.
Wow.
Not only that, after 30 years of service, I was the only one that went to his funeral.
No. Not only did they make him come back, but they didn't even part of his life enough after 30 years of service to even give him the dignity of going to a funeral.
Nothing. After that, I was done.
Of course, yeah.
I was done. A lot of things happened. I actually wound up getting hurt myself, and I couldn't walk for a while. And like they did me dirty, man. They fought me tooth and nail on it. So I said, you know what? I'm really done with y'all now. So I fought them so that I could get paid. They didn't pay me for 3 months, bro. I wound up maxing out every credit card we had. My wife maxed out everything that she had. We had to go bankrupt because there was no recovery from it. By the time I got paid, it was just enough so that we could eat again. And then what happened? Yeah, they let me go. Oh, man, I was so happy. My boss didn't even know what happened. I was like, bro, I got a booklet for you. Here you go. This is the people that you need to look out for. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I was ready and ready to leave. So that's how my whole career started. And let me tell you, well, everybody here, like if you're an entrepreneur and you go through, man, everybody knew me from working corporate and nobody wanted to help me. When I wanted to pivot and do something different, they acted like I was a liar. Oh my God, they just, and it's, I don't think it was out of malice. I think it was out of fear. Like, because when you start something, everybody fears for your well-being, right? Like they're like, oh my God, he has kids and he's gonna start over. Why doesn't he just, I'll never forget, somebody said, why don't you just work at McDonald's? Yeah, all right. So instead of taking it as a negative point, I took that as fuel, right? I made a whole bunch of mistakes when I first started, had a crazy name for a company, whatever. Now, after years and years and years of hard work, going from partner and whatever, I now have a stable partner. And he taught me the lanes of business. But he also taught me, because everybody else gave up on me, he didn't. He gave me an opportunity. And to this day, like if God wasn't in my corner, I know I wouldn't be here. So I pay it forward. Everything that I do right now, I pay it forward. Try to help people. I make sure that we help out youth organizations, that we help out nonprofits, and I make sure that kids never, ever, ever feel like they're alone. Even when things aren't right at home, that they know that they have somebody or some place that they can go that's safe. And that's my priority. And I want to make sure that my kids know that too. So as you hear my story, just know, like, it's never too late to start over. Believe in yourself, believe in God, because Lord knows I would not be here if it wasn't for him. And just know, like, there's always somebody that's in a worse situation than you. So always keep up the light.
Wow, thank you for telling that, because we hear about stuff like that, but it's always somebody that knows somebody that knew somebody, that happened to. And for you to be able to share, wait a minute, I gave my life to corporate. I gave, because sometimes we just think if I just have the job, they're going to take care of me. Or for some folks, it's the government, right? The government's going to make sure that I'm okay, that I got what I need, and I'm going to be okay, and they're not looking out for you. They truly aren't. One of the things that I'd love to just unpack with you a little bit as I think through your story, um, is your identity, because you kind of started sharing about some of the things that happened when you were a kid. Now I had a mom and dad in the home. I had this crooked leg, where I was pigeon toed or whatever, and so my mom made me wear these like corrective shoes to school, and that was bad enough. And then my feet would freeze in the snow because they weren't like boots. And I can remember like when moon boots came out, my feet could finally be warm outside playing in the snow. But that's not the same as showing up at home and you can't get inside your house in order to stay warm and everything else that goes there. So, but you come out of that somehow. And so, was it mentors? Was it like, talk to me a little bit about your journey with your identity? Because obviously, your identity now is, how do I give back? And some people that were in your same shoes want to take everything because they felt like they were taken advantage of or something when they were a kid and they didn't get it. So now I can't give anything back. And you're totally different. So how did your identity shift throughout those times?
That's a good question. I mean, like I said, I was in the church a lot. So like I belong to a Baptist church, and I also belong to CYO, I think it is, Catholic Youth Organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that helped out a lot, like just having peers and like listening to their stories and understanding, like, not only am I not alone, but my scenario is not the worst scenario that exists. Uh, the other piece is martial arts. Like martial arts probably saved my life and gave me a level of discipline. I competed a lot. I competed heavily. Um, so I think that was a big, big part. Between martial arts and the youth organizations, I really didn't have time, and track. I didn't have time to do anything because remember I was working too. So between working, sports, and martial arts, and then all the extra other curricular activities, I didn't have time for pity. I had time to get on my grind. So I kept myself busy and trying to cut better in myself in different areas. So I didn't have to worry about home life. If I'm everywhere else, I don't have to worry about being home, right? So that was the deal.
Talk to me a little bit about, and I asked this to a lot of my guests little bit later, but I'm asking you now about being a dad, because there's one thing that we all know that kids need a father, and if unfortunately yours passed away when you were 13, but when I think about identity of a dad and what it means to be a dad. And we have those dads who were like like yourself, that it was, I had to work, I had to, and then you always hear the exaggeration of I had to walk in the snow 2 miles to school, both ways uphill. And so anything you're gonna do, you're gonna have to go through it, right? I had to go through it, you're gonna have to go through it. And then you find out that a lot of these dads are like, well, I'll give anything to my kids, especially our daughters. And, and you go, okay, it doesn't matter what happened to me, it's how I'm going to love on you. But maybe just kind of go through what it means to be a dad. And then what kind of dad are you? Are you like, hey, kid, you get out there, I'm going to give you a stump and an axe, and, you got 2 hours to cut this tree down? You know,
I'm a hard dad.
are you
Um,
okay?
I am the I'm a hard dad, but I do it because man, I love my kids. I
Yeah.
love like look, I have like everything my kids do, like number one dad, um, all their like Father's Day, anything is like always on my desk. Their baby pictures, like the crazy things that kids make, I don't even care. Um, they're they are my everything, you know. So mm-mm, they
That's so
are.
cool.
Yeah, I'd do anything for them.
Yeah.
So what I do is I try to make sure they know, like right now, they're upstairs having a good time. Great, Daddy's still working, but they'll come to work with me, right? I
Mm,
want them to see what it is to be a man, right? Because I didn't always have it, but I want them
yeah.
to see it. I want them to feel it. Like it's not always pretty. Like not
Mhm.
everything is going to be sun, rainbows and flowers and all the rest of that nonsense. I want them to understand to be a man means you got to put in the work, right? You got to put in the work, and you should be able to understand your emotions. I do agree with that, but I still want them to be able to get through their emotions. I want them to be able to operate in a place where if mommy right now is the only woman in the house, God bless her soul. I don't know how she does it, but she's the only woman in the house.
Mhm.
Mommy should be protected at all times.
Yeah.
Mommy is a diamond. And if you ever yell at the diamond, drop the diamond, disrespect the diamond, I will bury you.
Yeah.
Because that's what a father and a husband is. And I want them to know that. So when they have a wife or whatever they decide to do, hopefully give me some grandbabies, they know that their job is to provide, to protect, to listen, not to beat, not to demand, right? Like it's a partnership, and I want them to understand that. But at the same time, I think it takes a village. So as a father, if there's something that they're interested in, but I can't do it, I'll find someone that's really good at it, and I'll put them together, right? Because I want them to learn everything, anything and everything. I don't want them to be in front of the TV all the time. I don't want them to be in front of the, but if that's, we'll figure it out. But right now, I want you outside. I want you doing different things. I want you to meet different people. I want you to be a whole person. So by the time you become an adult, you're a full person. You don't judge.
Mhm.
You're a man of action. You're a man of faith, and you push forward. Those are that's the kind of father that I am. Is that I want to make sure that I lead by example, but I also give some level of grace, right? Because I want them to understand women. I want them to understand that it's okay to cry, like grown men can cry, but I also want them to understand that they gotta push through it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. As I think through this and I think of my own heart and my own, after I became a dad, I think I became a different person than the guy who was alive before. And, as I was at that school today, and one of the kids came up to me and he was saying that he lives with his grandma because his dad had killed his mom, and his dad's in prison. Oh my, you just go, wow, and you feel for the kid, and then you understand why he acts up in school or he does, he's doing some of the things that he does. But like that dad didn't say the things you were saying, right? That dad didn't understand whether he was hurting himself or whatever, that he would take another person's life because he didn't understand that she's the diamond, that she needs to be protected, that she needs to be loved, that she needs to be. And then now there's an example of another human being in this planet, and I just think of, what the responsibility of being a dad is so much greater
Then
than just being,
people
yeah.
give credit to. And you know what, Dr. B, to that point, have you ever looked into your kid's eyes and like you're reprimanding them for something or you're talking to them and then you see yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my
I do
goodness.
that, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my god, when my kids start acting up, I'm like, ooh, this is payback. This is karma. This is karma. So I just go to my wife. I'm like, it's me. My bad. That's on me. When they act like this, is me. And then I get back and I'm like, man, mom and dad. And then this is what happens is I go back to my mom and like I for a while I didn't talk to her for like almost 15 years. I didn't talk to her. And then it just hit me. I'm like, it's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a parent.
Yeah. Oh my
And you got
gosh.
to give grace. Like, like nobody's perfect. And, you know, did her best.
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember a conversation. Now you just brought that up to me with my mom when so I was a special, well, told I was a special ed kid, and so I had no desire to go to college whatsoever. I just happened to be a pretty good athlete, and so I had some scholarship offers that were allowing me to go to school. My mom's dream of going to school, and all I wanted to do was be a stunt man. And I said, I'm going to go to California. I'm going to go to stunt school. I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to make it work and do all. And she convinced me to go to college. But I can remember in this conversation, she was just telling me the importance of life, and I was like, Mom, I don't care if I die. It doesn't matter. Life is just a short thing. And now I'm just thinking, like, I'm telling my mom, who's done everything she possibly could for me, that I don't care if I live to next week. I just want to go do what I want to do. I don't care what I get into. I don't care what what I go. Oh my God, I actually told my mom,
And think
and
about it
now
now. Like you think of your kids, right?
yeah, exactly. My kids say something like that, or they're doing something silly, and I got adult kids now, right? That
Yep.
make even crazier mistakes. I'm like, wow, I was that kid. I was that, yeah. So I can't be mad at them, but at the same time, I got to continue to love on them in just some crazy ways. I mean, it is so neat. The other thing you brought up that I think is so cool, uh, we talked about what it means to be a dad and that you're everything, but it also, what does it mean to be a husband and be the man of the house and to love on your wife, and what is how has that changed your identity and who you are?
All right. I'll put it this way. When I was in college, I weighed 127 pounds.
Woo, you little bitty dude.
Little bitty dude, bro. Like little bitty. After I got married, I broke the 200 barrier.
Okay.
Okay. I've been married for 15 years.
Okay.
I don't know what to say about marriage. I don't know whether I would like be like, you know what, if you really love her, get married, or if I would say, um, think twice, like just make sure. But I have to tell you, I lucked out with my wife. Um, Marriage is a struggle. Marriage is always going to be a struggle. But just
Mhm.
make sure, like whoever you marry, you make sure that that's somebody that you're gonna ride or die. Because I was blessed, and married a ride or die. Like we've been up and we've been down, and you know what? 15 years in, we'll probably be up again, and we'll probably go down
Probably be
again.
down.
So,
Amen.
but she is a rock. She is, without her, how the heck would I do everything that I do? I mean, Mr. B knows what I do and like how hard I work, but like without her, that would be impossible. So, what would I say about marriage? Again, I would say find the right person. It's not always about looks. And for those that are very analytical, get that out your damn head because, love does not math. It does not make sense. It does not, two plus two does not equal four in love, like real love. And understand there's different levels of love. So before you say I do, or before you even think of getting married, understand what love means, get marriage counseling, understand what you're getting yourself into. Because out of my group, Dr. B, like we were the first to get married, but out of our peers, we've been married the longest. And from the ones that got married when we got married, we're the only ones still married.
Wow.
So
That's so.
yeah, so that's why I say what I say is because like I've seen it from both sides. Like
Yeah.
successful marriage is relative. Like it's successful because you got to take it. You got to take it for what it is.
Well, love for you to give me three or four examples of things or adjustments that you were willing to make, or battles that you decided this isn't a battle that I care about enough as I care about staying married and being with my wife. I give you an example. One of mine is, the way that my wife likes the toilet paper where it goes over the top doesn't come from the bottom. I just put it on there. And then I didn't care, and then she'd be mad, and it would be, how come you can't do this right? And I just realized I don't care. So because I don't care, I'll just be careful to make sure that the toilet paper always comes over the top. Because that's a battle not worth. But I know some men that will fight that tooth and nail to the end. "Well, I'm going to do it my way." Are there any things that you've learned over 15 years of marriage, maybe one or two things that you say these are habits that I've either created because I wanted to have harmony, or these are battles that I don't need to fight because it doesn't matter?
I got one major one.
Okay.
Um, I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
Everything has to be done a certain way, and then when it's not, you've seen it. I am not a happy camper.
Yeah.
So in marriage, that's never gonna happen. And I've learned that. And what I've learned to do, yes, dear, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I apologize. I'm wrong. Whatever you say. That I think for any man is hard. It sounds so simple,
Ooh.
but it's so hard.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh
You don't
my
have to
God.
be. You can be. You can. What is it? You could be right or you could be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And if you choose happy every time, life just seems to mean so much better. The things that you want to happen begin to happen. For me, one of the things is like when we're drive the car a lot, and she's sitting on the side, and somebody, like even last night, somebody pulled in front, and then like it bubbles up in me like, I know how to drive. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. That's the old me saying that's the conversation we're having in the car. And then, we go another 15 miles down the road, and I'm not speaking, and she's not speaking. We're all mad. And I'm like, she really doesn't want to die. And if I don't see it, from her perspective, is better safe than sorry, right? If I say something and he wasn't paying attention or in his mind or whatever, then I'm still alive. And if he gets mad at me, I'm okay because I'm still alive. In my perspective, I'm boiling up, and it's just some of those little things that you just go, wait a minute, man, I'd rather be happy than right.
Because I'm not going to be right. You're not going to be right, Mr. B. It don't matter. It don't
No,
matter.
no.
And the women that are listening to this, stop doing that. Just stop. We're not always right. And you know what? 90% of the time I'm probably wrong, right?
Mhm.
But give a brother a break. You know,
Yeah, give me a little bit. Give me a little
I
bit on
could
that.
drive, I don't need directions every 3 seconds, right? Maybe, possibly. Give me a break. Just a little break. Give your men just like a
Yeah,
sliver of a break. Because I think it's every relationship.
yeah. I had a when I first started driving, I had an aunt who was from Brooklyn, and I guess she was driving, and there's a bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, I guess, goes from Brooklyn where I don't know where it goes to, but her car broke down on the bridge, like
Oh,
in the middle of the bridge, her car stopped. That was like in 1960 something, early in the 1960s. She got out of the car and walked home and never drove again in her life. But when I was first driving, she drove because she's telling you, all right, turn right, okay, turn left, all right, you go a little bit faster, go a little bit slower. I mean, something that would just drive you insane about she talked. And so that bubbled it up. But at the same time, you just go, wait a minute, my wife didn't get stuck on the Brooklyn Bridge and walk home. you know, that was my aunt. So how am I taking my aunt, how she spoke to me, out on my wife? And I think sometimes we do a lot of that. Um, yeah,
Dr. B,
some
I
of the
think
crazy
you
things.
just hit
Yeah.
the second one, and that's let past trauma let stay in the
Ooh.
past.
Ooh. Wow.
You just
How
hit
do,
it
how do you
too.
do that? Because there's so much that has happened, and there's so many folks that bring that up over and over and over again. And then even sometimes you go meet your buddies or whatever, at the barbershop or whatever, and all they want to talk about is all the stuff that happened in the past, right? They're just bringing it back up, back up, back up. So how have you been able to separate that and say, wait a minute, some of these things I gotta let
I,
go of?
c- it doesn't bother me, but like for my wife, I'm still trying, right? But that's the best advice that I ever got from a married couple that's been married for like 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, take up your issues with your significant other. Like your personal drama should not be public drama.
Yeah.
And keeping your when you have a traumatic experience, especially women, like they have traumatic experiences that we don't even know about, but it comes out in the most craziest of ways. But being able to identify, like, listen, this isn't me, this is something else, right? And giving grace to that, right? Because maybe they can't get over it. Maybe it's something that's really traumatic. But for you as a man, like for me, I have to get over mine because I need to have that space for her so that she knows that she's loved and accepted no matter what trauma that she's been through. If that makes any sense.
Oh, it totally does. And I was talking to Lance a lot last week on our podcast. And I talk about the voices that we listen to. Like one voice is our own voice in our head that we know 100% of all the lies we told, the things we have that are right, that we don't believe we were enough, our sadnesses, our happinesses. And then I talk about the voice where others tell us who we are.
Yeah.
Those voices that we listen to probably more than anything. You're not dressed right. They make fun of us. We believe, hey, we count on what they say is who we are. And then the third voice is the community that we're part of that can lift us up. And then Lancelot said, but there's a fourth voice. And it goes to what you were saying right here. You said that I got to bring up is you bringing your stuff to public. And he said, like, quit telling your mama everything. And dudes and stuff that their mom knows everything about the relationship. They know everything that's going on. They know or you said bringing it to the public. It needs to be at your home, and yet we're bringing it out. I mean, that's a voice that's so detrimental when we're looking and telling others. I mean, there's confidence if you got a guy and you're talking, it doesn't go anywhere. But if your mom or somebody close to you knows all the things that are going on in your relations at home, ooh,
Yeah, that's a deal breaker, right? Like that's the but I don't know, like to me that's the hot red, that's the fire button, that's the one that you know but to each their own. But to me, those are the two things that I would impart is like
okay,
keep your stuff private and have open communication within a relationship, but stop trying to always be right. Like, part of being a leader is also listening.
woo, two ears, one mouth, right?
That's it.
Oh my gosh, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about finances because you talked about the vulnerability of saying, hey, they didn't pay me for 3 months. We maxed out our credit cards. We were in this hole that bankruptcy is what it took to get out of it. And even then, it was hard to get out of it. And then fast forward to where you're at in your life, somehow you were able to dig out of the home. Were there certain concepts that you said this is how money's going to be, or did you just work your butt off until there was more money than things that were going out? I mean, how did you do? Because that seems to be such a big, heavy thing on people's lives. Is hey, it didn't go right. I don't know how to get out of it, and I don't even know who to talk to.
You take it one step at a time, and there's
Mm.
no right answer. I don't think. Like, I'm still battling to this day, and I'm gonna probably still battle for the next 10 years or so. Um, I make money now. That's true. My business is successful. That's also true. But without the knowledge of how to manage money, you can
Mm.
wind up in the same hole right back again.
Yeah. Same
So
whole bit bigger stuff, more stuff,
that's
but
right.
just the
That's
same
right.
hole, right?
So my oldest, thank God, is he's good at math, right? And part of the reason I believe he's good at math is because we put it on him early. Like, here's your wallet every month. Tell me how much money you got, right? But at the same time, my wife and we're learning uh, better math skills, right? We're learning how to budget better. We're taking advice from people close to us that are smarter with money, and I think part of it is being in the right rooms, surrounding yourself with people that are not going after the Joneses, right? But also not surrounding yourself with people that are trying to like outsmart the government or whatever. You know what I mean? You got to find people that are in the middle that are just trying to do their best to live and are, budget conscious. And, my wife fell into this trap a couple of times where, like, you try to go out with the girls and like they're doing their hair every week and then they doing this or they doing that. And it's not realistic. You just doing it. You spending money for what? And then, same thing for guys. Like, you go out drinking. All right, then we're gonna go out and we're gonna go here. Then we're gonna go out and we're gonna go there. Like, it's unrealistic. So hanging out or making friends or being in the right rooms where people are more about making money than spending money. And what is the rule, Dr. B? Like, there's a rule for that. You're
For
20. You're
like spend less than you make.
Well, that's a dead given, but like being in the right rooms, right? Like,
Oh, the
if
right
you
rooms, absolutely, and the rooms have to change because
yes.
you can't go if you're not in those right rooms. They can't go up. Uh, Explain to me, and you can help because you've been in both places as have I. And we think about money management, and we think about. I think there's two types of money management and understanding money. There's I have a job, money management, budgeting, and figuring out what I'm going to do with my money. And then there's I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a budget, and I need to make money. And they're two different things, and I don't think people get that, especially when they first become an entrepreneur. They think the same job math works as entrepreneur math.
It doesn't. And that's that is so true. And your significant other, whether you're a man or a woman, is irrelevant, but your significant other, whichever one is the entrepreneur, understands that really well, especially if they're a seasoned entrepreneur. But the spouse
Mhm.
never understands that for some reason. Like they just
Yeah.
get the urge to spend because they see that there's money there. But as an entrepreneur, you it's different because you know all the money is not yours, right? Like you have bills to pay, you have things coming up. If you have employees, you got to pay them. Like you may have like 80,000 in your bank account one day and like 5,000 in your bank account the next, just because that's the way the bills work, right?
Mhm.
So having a smart budget, understanding your bottom line, understanding your break even, understand that there's a difference between revenue, gross revenue, and net, right? It's a different type of math. But I would say, Dr. B, one thing that's helped me is I'm bad at math, but I'm really good at analytics. So if you ask me like a real bad math equation, like something like blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, I'm gonna be like, well, I don't know. But if you put me in front of some charts and stuff, I will analyze the crap out of it and I can put things where they need to be, right? So as long as I have a framework, for me personally, that helps me to understand where money's going to go, where it should go. And that's something that my partner helped me with. Is he's like, dude, never give a quote off the top of your head because it's 100% wrong. Like you suck at math. And I was like, oh, thank you for the honesty. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. And he was right. Um, but when I take a breath and I take a step back and I'm looking at the charts and I'm looking at, QuickBooks or whatever else, I can analyze that and then I can make a plan off of that. You can't really always do that in your personal life because you have outliers like kids and a wife or a spouse. That's what I said. Like it's a different playing field where when you're the CEO, you have full control of where money goes and doesn't go. But as a father or a mother, no, you don't. Like the kid gets sick, you gotta go to the doctor. There's
Yeah,
no food in the
exactly.
house because Johnny ate all the food. You gotta go back to the grocery store. You know what I mean? So it's just a different. But if you take some of the discipline from being an entrepreneur and you can try, I'm trying. I'm still trying to put that in your personal life. You could probably be better off. But I'm still learning. So
Yeah, and I think we always. I mean, I think the big difference for me in this whole equation is, when I'm doing job math, I know at least if I have a stable job, because you could always lose your job, but if you have a pretty stable job and a setback happens, you can project, hey, 12, 15, 32 months into what do I need to do to catch up? Because every 2 weeks or every month or every other week, there's going to be money that's dropping into your account. And so now you're just adjusting your expenses based on how much money is coming in. And then on the entrepreneur side is I can't project 15, 16, 17 months out because I have no idea what's going to happen in the economy. I mean, the cool part is it could jump up and I could have these big windfalls. The other side of it is like when 2008 happened with me and I wasn't even prepared is wait a minute, there are no loans. I don't care if you have 80 loans in the pipeline and you're making money hand over fist every single day and no big deal. There are no loans and there's not going to be any for the next 2 years. You're like, whoa, so I have to keep payroll going, right? Because I all these people are depending on me. I have to do all these things, but you can't predict it as easy. And so it's a different equation on okay, what has got to be the most important priority? Taking care of my kids, making sure my mortgage baby, making sure you have that, and then but at the same time, a risk comes up that says this could be a big payday, and so you go, okay, do I take this money out of this emergency pot here, to risk on this big payday, and all the entrepreneurs, yeah, that's what I did. That's why I was willing to take the risk. Yeah, and it worked. And that's why you up on stage talking. But
that's
there's
fact.
just as many people that took that same risk and it
And
and
it
it
didn't
didn't
work
pan
out.
out that one time, right?
But like you're always taking a risk, right? Like you're gonna take a risk whether you stay at your 9 to 5 job, right? That's a huge risk right now, right?
Hmm.
Everybody that thought that they were federal employees and they couldn't be touched, now what?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right? Everybody that thought they were a teacher, everything will be fine. Now what?
Wow, you're so right. I'll switch a little bit. Has faith played a part? Because we're talking about some of these risks and stuff, and then your relationship with God, and has that played a big part in some of the decisions that you make in your life and how you act and run your life?
Absolutely. There's no way in hell I would be here if it wasn't for God. And like
Mm,
my wife's not a big church goer, and honestly, like church is not my big thing, but faith, I am a man of faith. Like I would not be here 100% if it wasn't
mhm.
for God. I wouldn't be married. I would not be here. I like I give God all the glory for that. I have two healthy kids. I have a roof over my head. Everything that I set out to do, whether it's perfect or not, is irrelevant. But everything that I set out to do, one way, shape, or form, has been done. And
Mm.
the only way that I can fathom that that was even possible, the fact that I'm still here, like you said, like going through bankruptcy and stuff like that, and I still have my house. How the hell am I doing this? I don't even know. Like it's God. It is 100% God.
And thank you for so much. Thank you for saying that church isn't your relationship with God. And
No.
so many people think and they judge you, that second voice that I talked about on whether like how many Sundays that you attended mass or your church service or you're in the front pews or went to Bible study and all these things. It's not. Faith in your relationship with God isn't about the religion of the day or the places that you go to worship collectively with others. It's that individual relationship with God that allows you to do the things that you need to do in the
Nobody
way
can
that
doubt
God
my
would
faith
want
in
you to
God
do.
because I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the testament that I have to God's power, is that I'm still here. So you could, and that's a big piece, Dr. B, is I had to stop caring about what other people thought about me because
How do you
I'm
do that?
still here.
How do
I'm
you
still
stop
here
caring?
because
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yes, I love it. I love
No
it.
matter what they say, like when I first started, right? When I first started business, man, everybody had something to say. And sometimes it was true. Like I suck, bro. Like it was hard to do everything by yourself, as any entrepreneur finds out. But instead of like taking that negativity and like letting it fuel my decision or make me feel a certain kind of way, I use it as fuel. I'm like, you know what? F you.
Mhm.
I know it's your fear, so God bless you. But now you said I couldn't make $1,000. I'm gonna make $10,000. You said that I needed to go to McDonald's. How much McDonald's make? 50, 60,000? I don't know. Well, I made over 100 grand. So what are you talking about? You told me I
Mhm.
couldn't do it, and it had no effect on my life whatsoever. Your negativity only boosted my ability, my grit to go do it in the first place. So thank
Mhm.
you, you hating son of a bleep 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 bleep.
Yeah. It's that ability to stop listening to those voices that are telling you you can't, or telling you why you shouldn't, or telling you not to do all the things that you know that you need to do in order to win. That's so cool.
I just figure out why I'm winning. I'm winning because of the grace of God, but honestly, it's because of the my kids and my
Mhm.
wife that struggle. Like my wife should never have to struggle again in her life.
Wow, so cool. Hey, so we have been talking, man, almost 55 minutes now. It has been so fun and so good. What didn't we talk about that you wanted to make sure? And I want you to be able to tell people how to get a hold of you, talk about what business you do, so that people can utilize you for their needs, right?
I help people find their voice. Like I had to find my voice, right? And find the right people to hear that voice through branding, through marketing, through AI integrations. I help you build a strong brand, right? And it's not just me. There's 8 of us, right? I was able to build a team of 8, believe it or not. And you can get a hold of us at brimxbrand.com. And of course, you can always get a hold of me at mike@brimxbrand.com. Just send me an email. I'm always willing to talk to anybody. And if you're an entrepreneur, honestly, and you really, really struggling and you just want to talk to somebody because you need to know which way to go, left, right, up, down, without judgment, I'm here for you. You want somebody that's actually going to give you some sound advice and not feel threatened by you? I'm here for you. I don't want nothing from you. I'm just going to point you in the right direction so you could at least get started. And that's what I wish I had when I first started.
Oh my gosh, it's so true, because when I think of when you start out, right, you go to YouTube and you look at all these guys that are, billionaires or multiple hundreds of millions of dollars that they made. And it's really hard to relate to, because you're at like, I just want to make $2,000 this month because I didn't make $2,000 last month, right? And then they tell you and they give you this advice. Oh, just go knock on every door. Really? Okay. Did you really just knock on every single door? Because they tell you as if it was like this super easy and you got all the time in the world and you can just go knock on every door and you can accept those no's. Oh yeah, just accept the no's. And you go, wait a minute, this is breaking me. This is breaking me down. I don't even want to get up in the morning, get out of bed. But to have somebody like yourself who's saying, "Hey, I'm recently out of the trenches. I haven't reached where I'm going to be. I'm getting there, but I can get you out of where you're at." And I think
Yeah.
that's so powerful, right?
Well, you can learn by like sometimes you can learn by successes, but I'm a big proponent and learn learn from others' failures. So I have to make that same mistake. And I'll give you my failures because I have nothing to hide, right? A lot of people are like, oh no, I'll give you
Yeah.
my failures so that you don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, and it's like all like it's like pain that we have, like the way God has designed us is you remember that there was pain, but you don't remember the actual pain. And I think some of these successful folks remember that it was painful when they were growing up, but they don't remember the actual pain, and how to relate with that. When you're on your jet and you fly into wherever you fly into, you don't remember the pain of what it was like to wait in all those lines and, it can't get your bag up and all the things that happen as you're going through it. And so I so just appreciate you willing to spend the time with folks and tell them, hey, let's look at the failures. Let's look at what you're failing at and let's figure out ways to make some successes. And so I hope people give you a call and get online with you and just say, hey, I think one of the hardest things that we have as men and entrepreneurs is to say that we're hurting or we're not, it's not working. That pride, I think you talked about earlier in here, that just says, wait a minute, I'm so prideful into where I'm at. I'm not willing to tell anybody until it's too late or until I'm so far gone that the hole I got to dig out is so much bigger than it would have been had I just said, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know, and it's not working, and I want it to work, and let me find somebody who can help me get out of it. Yeah, so you got it. I love just the look alone says exactly what I want to say. So thank you for being on today. Thank you for sharing with us
Thank you.
and being vulnerable in your space and where you're at. I can't wait to our relationship continuing to grow and to the things that we're going to do together, the people that we're going to help, the people that we're going to serve. Do you have one closing thought that you would love to give everybody before we end it today?
Do unto others as you want done unto you, and never give up on a dream.
Yeah, never, never, never give up. Michael, thank you for being part. For those of you, if this is your first podcast, hit the subscribe, hit the notification. We have so many great guests that are on that can tell their stories, that can tell what they did, that can help you with your trauma, all the things that Mike and I just talked about. Today that can help you become the person that you need to be. Because I'm about becoming the person, and that's what our universe is about. That's what our community is about. We're going to do a goal setting workshop using AI here in January. I'm going to do a speaker school in March for those of you wanting to speak on stages. We're going to. There's just so many cool things that are going to happen in 2026. So I hope that you guys remember to take on and listen to and try some of the things that we're going to put out there just for you so that you can become that person. Don't forget your God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. One more caveat to that is when you start thinking that you're not enough or you're thinking that this isn't going to work or you're thinking this you can't do this, remember I'm talking about you. If you're looking at me right now, you on this camera are the answer to somebody else's prayer. And
Amen.
so just you by giving up says that their prayer might not be answered. Think about that for a little bit. You guys have an amazing, awesome, incredible day, and we'll see you on the next one.